We want to see the world reached for Christ. So on the Reach Out, we talk to partners all around the globe about how they are reaching further in frequency, farther in distance to places never hearing the gospel, and faster before Jesus returns. Today, we've got Brandon and Rachel Powell talking with us about how they see ministry happening in the country of Thailand.
Well, hey guys, it's good to see you again. As we're having this call, I just think it's awesome that around the world we can have conversations about missions and what God is doing through Reach. And it's dawned on me since we last talked that a bunch of people at Northridge are maybe pretty new to Christianity and not really quite sure what a global partner is. So if you guys wouldn't mind kicking us off and just telling us what is a global partner and then what do you guys do in Thailand?
Yeah, well, first I want to say welcome to the family of God. And the family of God is not just right there in Marshfield, but it's global. And so we are the family of God around the world. What is beautiful about where we are at every single week, we are at an international church. Pastor Chris, you've actually preached here before. And it's beautiful because we get to see na the nations worshiping God. So there's people from over 40 different nationalities that represent the international church that we meet at here in Bangkok, Thailand. But we are serving here and living here in Thailand, sent out of Wisconsin. And our family is sponsored by Northridge as global partners. And we're living here in Bangkok. Our life looks very similar to what your life looks like in terms of like grocery shopping, in terms of taking our kids to school. But where we are is just a different location. And they happen to speak a different language, use different money, and lots of different things in a day-to-day life. But at the base of what we do, it is very similar to what you guys do here. But we have a different demographic of people that we're reaching in Thailand. Most people have never heard the name of Jesus before, as opposed to most places in the States where you at least have some context of Christianity, of the gospel message. Most people here have never had someone pray over them before. And so every person that we walk by here in Bangkok and here in Thailand, we just assume that they've never spoken to a Christian, they've never heard the name of Jesus before, and never heard the good news. And so that is one of the reasons that we are here. And that's one of the reasons why Northridge partners with us is because God's family reaches not just in the state of Wisconsin, but around the world too.
Yeah. I remember when we were with you guys just over a year ago, one of the things you encouraged our team constantly was as we are walking around, if you see someone, just pray for them because it is likely that you will be the first person to pray in the name of Jesus for that person, which I think for a lot of our team was just so impactful.
Wow.
And I just think too, we get a lot of questions about short-term trips. We just launched all of them for this year from the perspective of a partner who receives trips. Sometimes the criticism is well, can't the money of the airfare and staying in hotels be spent better someplace else? So could you guys from a partner's perspective, just give us a little picture of what do you think about that? Sometimes that critique. Are
Yeah, we
short-term trips a good thing, I guess is the narrow question there.
No, that's a great question. It's a great conversation to have. But I know for us here in Thailand, it is so beneficial to host teams from America. First, it just opens up so many doors. It opens up so many opportunities. We serve alongside Pastor Tony, who's a Thai pastor, which Northridge got to serve directly with. But I know when he has the opportunity to host an American team, he talks all the time. The doors are just open. There's schools that open up, youth prisons that open up, different ministries and outreaches and English camps and stuff that he can do differently when he has Americans with him. And so that's awesome. Also, I think it's so beneficial for us to, again, like Brandon said, just have Christians there because it's so few, less than 2% Christian in Thailand. And so just to have other believers from another part of the world just come and live life and do life with our Thai friends is so beneficial. Just they have the opportunity just to pray over them, just to be with them, to answer questions about God. So that's so beneficial. But then I know it's even encouraging to us just to interact with Americans, to interact with people from Wisconsin, from our home state, just to hear the Wisconsin accent again is so encouraging to us. It's encouraging to our kids to And so, yeah, I think, there's definitely places where your money might be able to go a little further somewhere else, but we know for us, having relationship with people is so much more beneficial. And you're having an eternal kingdom impact, which is just it's just amazing.
I also consider it kind of like an exchange program too,
Mhm.
where we often host exchange students or people go live abroad for a little while. And the purpose of that is just to catch a glimpse of how
Yeah.
different people live, how
Yeah.
different culture and society are. And
Mhm.
you don't really know until you've visited
Yeah,
there. And so you really gain an
absolutely.
appreciation. So in a way, it helps you as a person have a bigger picture of what God is doing in the world.
Yeah.
You get to work with believers in a
Mm-hmm.
different language. And it really opens up your perspective personally in a discipleship perspective. Wow, the Christianity is so much
Hmm.
bigger than my own city, my own
Yeah.
context. But God answers prayers literally around the world. So it's a really beautiful context too that you get to place yourself in.
Yeah, I know when we were with you guys, I think we were 2 Sundays, obviously worshiping with the Thai church, but then also you guys encouraged us to spend some time with the Filipino fellowship, which was basically like church after church, and getting
Yep.
just to hear their stories and pray with Filipino people living in Thailand about like what miracles God has done in their lives. Like that was just so cool to be like, this is really not all that different from what we are experiencing around the globe. So it was just a really cool experience. You mentioned Pastor Tony, and so that was who we worked with majority when we were with you guys last. And I know you shared with me before some updates that are kind of happening in Korat since we um, partnered with the Asapat school and prison outreach that kind of accidentally became a church plant. So if you want to just share a little bit more, like what has been happening since we were last with you guys in Korat with Pastor Tony.
Actually, just today, I'm getting all these pictures of one of the students that we ministered to in the youth prison all this past year. And we actually met him. You guys opened up a door whenever you guys did the youth prison, and we got to go in the following month, led him to Jesus. And then he just got out yesterday. And then today, I'm getting all these pictures of him like living his best life, but the
Yeah.
church is actually taking care of him.
So he just
His
got out of prison.
Yes, and
Hmm.
so
Oh my
he's
gosh, that's cool.
2 years. And it's really special. His countenance has completely changed.
Hmm.
Pastor Tony actually signed over basically as his guardian, basically saying, I, accept responsibility for him. And Pastor Tony just sent me a message maybe an hour ago saying, like, oh, I'm like his father. I bought him clothes, I got him all the
Oh,
food, I
yeah.
got him a place set up to live in. And so it's really cool. They're actually one of the church members at his church is training this boy to be like a barista, just to get some life skills and
Mhm.
some job
Cool.
skills. He's actually going to be working at their
Hmm.
cafe just to kind of get him transition and get him set up. And then he is going to be at the church just constantly. It's like a life center slash church. And so already I'm really excited just to like get to see him outside. I've seen him so many times in the prison, but I'm so excited to go and give him a huge like brotherly hug and say like,
Mhm.
hey, welcome to my world again. But the church is really stepping up and taking care of them.
Yeah.
And then also, we one of the first people that came to faith when the church started, this boy, he's probably in his early 20s. He came to Christ, and then he led his father to Christ, like several months later.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then his mom and younger brother came to Christ several months after that at Easter last year. And then this past Christmas, they led their grandmother, his paternal grandmother, to Christ.
Wow.
And then they it's just so beautiful because like they all that happened, and then really sadly and abruptly, his grandmother passed away 2 weeks ago over Valentine's Day weekend. And it was really sad, but the family, it was the first like Christian funeral they'd ever been to. It was actually inside of a Buddhist temple because most bodies are cremated. Like 90, probably 99% of bodies here are cremated. They're not buried. And so to do that, you have to go to the temple, and the temple has all of that. But Pastor Tony was able to have the first Christian funeral of that church plant. And he led that and got to model for them what it looks like. The whole family was
Hmm.
involved. And it was amazing because they had so much peace. Because like Pastor Tony shared a message, started in Genesis,
Hmm.
ended in Revelation. It was only like a 20-minute message, but he shared the gospel so beautifully in
I
that.
love that.
And at the end, he's like, in the end, God will wipe away every tear. And it was just so beautiful. It was like a really new understanding for them.
Mhm.
And there were so many non-believers, people who have never been in a
Yeah.
church setting, have been around Christians before that came to the funeral. So they got to hear the gospel message in a Buddhist temple. And I was there. I got to be a part of that too. It was just a holy moment too in this temple. Um, and then just this past week, the family, they kind of went through the mother's house. She was a very new believer. She'd only been a Christian for 2 years or 2 months before she passed. And so there were hundreds of idols in her house still. And the family was, they were taking pictures of videos, sending me earlier this week and saying, oh, yeah, the family has decided just to discard all of them.
Mhm.
And like, it's a huge step. Like these are like
Yeah.
amulets and idols that have been passed down through the generations. And
Yeah.
it's just really like crazy to think. And like they're going to convert it into like a cafe and like have more of like Bible studies there and stuff too, that the house that she used to live in. So just it's just transformation in this
Mhm.
community. It's so beautiful to be a part of it. And ultimately, Northridge is a part of that. Literally, you guys have been here, boots on the ground. You have advocates in your church that can say, "Yeah, I
Mhm.
know Pastor Tony. Yeah, I know these people." And it's just so cool because you guys get to partner all the way, literally as far as you can go around the world before coming back again.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
really beautiful.
That is just crazy to hear. I know you shared that story with me before, but not the part about the amulets and the idols. And like, would that, if we were to like contextualize that, would that be similar to saying like my family came to faith in central Wisconsin and we decided to sell the family farm that's been in our family for generations because that was what,
Yeah.
yeah, wow,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Um, Another, man, we could just talk about that one forever. But one of the other things that we was really exciting, like, so when we do reach trips with partners like you guys, like my favorite thing is get to participate in what those funds went to. So like getting to work with Ossipot and Full Heart Church was incredible. But the year we came, like at the end of the year, you're like, hey, I don't know if this is possible, but if you have another 10 grand through Reach, we could buy a food truck to like minister in the red light district. And we as a team just said, like, we do, like, let's buy a truck.
Did. Yep.
And it was just so cool to be there, to be served food out of the truck, and then as silly as it maybe felt at the time, like to lay hands on the truck and pray for the ministry that was going to happen through it. What's been happening with the Lasso food truck since we last got to touch it?
Yeah, yeah, you guys were the first ones to like serve, and it was the first
Mm.
Sunday that it was available and open. So it is fully functional, it's fully running now, which is amazing. They've been really working just to kind of build some recognition, get kind of known in the community. But the goal of the food truck, the goal of the Lasso food truck, and it's American Western kind of themed, but the goal of it is to actually park it in the red light. Right, and when I say in, I mean like right on the street, one of the main streets that we work in.
Mhm.
And so our team, it was their heart to have a connection point, to have somewhere where, whether it's women or just people, tourists, whoever, could have a connection point in that area and just to kind of get to know people, get connected. And so they are officially launching. It took a long time to get all the legal paperwork, but they have all of that, which is amazing. And so they are officially going to be launching in the red light here
Yeah.
in the next couple of months,
Yeah.
which is just so exciting. And we really believe God is going to use this to not just be somewhere where you can get some cold brew, but somewhere where these women or these men or these kids that are working in this area
Yeah.
can really meet somebody that, hey, we have another option, another opportunity. And along that, Lasso is also doing English teaching, other like life skills and things like that they're going to be teaching and
Mhm.
offering classes and things. So it's a lot bigger than a food truck. So it's really, really exciting.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
food truck is just a front to give us more opportunity. The business visa that our team has is it's more than just food. It's
Yeah.
a lot like
Hmm.
consulting and a bunch of other things.
Yeah.
They give us a big net to grow and a good
Hmm.
covering.
Hmm.
And it's business as mission, so we have a lot of interns and people coming
Hmm.
out. That's kind of like what they're able to do as well.
Yeah.
And like even to be able to provide for themselves too. So it's really beautiful and it's in partnership with another church. There was another church that started on that street and we partnered very closely with
Hmm.
them. And actually, just in November, an open door came for
Hmm.
us to start what we call the Sealed Kids Club. And so Sealed
Yeah.
is the ministry that Lasso was under. that reaches out and to help with anti-human trafficking. But then the Seal Kids Club is one of those ministries that really
Hmm.
focuses with kids. And so, if we can reach the kids, the parents will come naturally and the adults will come naturally. And so it's so fun that we're out there now
Hmm.
every month. And all these kids, like we're out there with our signs, and everybody's kind of like looking at us, like what's going on? What are these foreigners doing here? And then so one by one, the kids come, and then I get to say, "Oh, my Leo!" Like, "Oh, you come already? Awesome!" And they're like, "Oh, they actually know these kids.
Hmm.
Interesting." And then the kids get all excited, and then they run upstairs, and more kids come. And in the market, we'll literally like be like we'll like go, and there's one boy who always hides under the table in the market, and we lift it up. And he's just there, and he's like reading a book or something, but he already has a Seal Kids t-shirt on. He's ready for the day. Like, hey, it's time. He's like, all right. And he goes and runs up, and these kids are just really precious. And so we reached out to you guys again this year. And one of the Reach projects that you guys get to help is the Seal Kids Club. And so you guys have pledged to help out this year, and that's going to make such a huge impact in growing this ministry. We have lots of plans for it, a big vision, and we're
Hmm.
really excited for you guys to be able to see it in person one day.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I think the plan right now is December 3rd through the 13th of 2026. We are
Great.
seeing this trip with you guys. So we've already started to share a little bit of that vision with our church. So I would just ask, like, if someone is considering a trip like that, what advice do you have?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's such an amazing opportunity just to get out of your own bubble. I know for me, I didn't get to go on my first missions trip until I was an adult.
Yeah.
And when I did, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Honestly, just to interact with another culture, try other food, be in
Yeah.
another country. Um, but then, in addition to that, you get to interact with other Christians from other parts of the world. So not just culturally, but you're also getting to worship
Yeah.
together and pray together and serve together. When you come and join and serve with us at Asapat and Full Heart Church, you are getting to work alongside other Thai Christians
Yeah.
that live there day in and day out and serve. You're gonna be able to see things in Bangkok that are not just tourist things, but we're gonna be able to go to different places and continue to partner with what God is doing there. And it's just amazing. It'll be an amazing experience. And so I know, we know personally the sacrifice that all of these teams make. They're sometimes taking their only vacation time from work
Yeah.
and using it to not go to the beach, but to come and serve with us.
Mhm.
And so we recognize the amazing like sacrifice
Yeah.
financially and in their time. But everyone that we've hosted, they've just had an incredible experience because they've gotten to see something
Yeah.
Yeah.
so much bigger. You recognize again that you are a part of something that is so much bigger than yourself. And just it's a great reminder for us, every time, just wow, we are the global church. It's
Yeah.
not just,
Yeah.
our church here in Bangkok, and it's not just the church in Wisconsin. It's the global church, and you get to be part of that. And so I think it's really eye-opening just to come and see,
Yeah.
like, wow, when I'm going to bed Saturday night, there's a church in Thailand that's
Yep.
worshiping on
Yeah.
Sunday morning. And when we go to bed on Sunday night, you guys are starting your
Yeah.
your worship, and it's really special to be part of it. So
Yeah.
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth,
Yeah.
that time and investment. So
I think we're all biased. Um, I would say, like, I think just the way that we prep trips, like I've never had a person come back and say that was a waste of my time.
Same. Yeah.
Like it's
Mhm.
always, I can't wait to go back. When's the next
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
I think before we just wrap things up, like anything that you guys just want to say to our church family or about Reach that you guys have appreciated or have found like, man, like this just means so much.
Yeah, and a part of this goes to you, Pastor Chris, for just being
mhm,
a great connection point for our family. And I
mhm,
think, just to honor you as well, it's
Thank
it's so it's so helpful to have an
mhm,
advocate at the church that really helps to, connect the missionary, the local global workers, or and also help to connect the church to the global workers, just that liaison. And you are that. So thank you so much for
mhm,
advocating, for keeping missions in front of people. But I think that's one of the biggest helps that your church has
Mhm.
is being able just advocating for missions, keeping it in front of people, and then just being able to grow those opportunities and those partnerships. And it's really something that
Mhm.
that you guys are doing very well, and we really appreciate that. You guys
Mhm.
are just really phenomenal at it. So thank you so much.
And that is it for the Reach Out. Come back again soon as we talk to another partner in another place as they talk about how they reach further, faster, and farther.